Welcome, David Way Fontana. Tonight's lesson is going to be out of the book of Luke. Now, the book of Luke is located in the New Testament. Remember, the Bible is separated in two different testaments. We got the Old Testament and the New Testament. So, go ahead, grab your Bibles and turn your Bibles to the book of Luke. And as you're doing that, I want to ask you guys a question. Do you guys know the names of all four Gospels? So we know one of them is the book of Luke. We have Matthew, Mark, and John. So if you said John, good job. As you turn into the book of Luke, we're going to be going over chapter 7. We kind of been studying the book of Luke, chapter 7. We're going to continue in chapter 7. So as you guys are turning, let's see. So once you find it, we're going to go ahead and start reading. In the meantime, I want you guys to think of something. See, in Jesus' time, there was a certain group of religious leaders who called themselves the Pharisees. See, the Pharisees believed that they can be perfect and go to heaven by keeping the law of Moses. But they had also added many other laws and rules and traditions. The word Pharisee means those who separate themselves. So remember, in Israel, there was a group called the Pharisees. They were separate from everybody else. See, they separated themselves from ordinary people because they believed the only way to be saved was to keep the law perfectly. They felt that they were better than common people, just like me and you. See, Simon was a prideful Pharisee. He thought that he was better than others because he was a Pharisee and kept the law. One day, Simon, a Pharisee, asked Jesus to join him for a meal. And that's where we're going to go ahead and start in verse 36. See, the woman that came to see Jesus was a sinner. And more likely, she knew. The woman that came to Jesus was a sinner. And more likely, everybody around her knew that she was a sinner. Yet, she washed and kissed Jesus' feet and anointed him with oil. See, in Jesus' day, it was important to be hospitable. See, the roads they walked on were very dusty, and they were open-toe sandals. See, it was customary in those days that the host to have his guests' feet washed. The host would also greet his guests with a kiss and anoint him with fragrant oil. See, that was the custom that they had in those days. See, Simon was not a very good host. See, he didn't pay attention to Jesus. See, Simon, he wasn't a good host. He didn't pay attention to Jesus. The lady that was a sinner was not Jesus' host or even invited to the feast, but she heard that Jesus was there and she wanted to go honor him. See, Jesus is worthy of all our honor. We can never forget that. Every day, every second of our lives, when we have a chance, we should honor God with the things we say, with the things we think of, and with the things that we do. See, when someone is honored, that means that they are shown the respect they deserve. What can we do to honor Jesus? Think about it. What are the different things that you can do to honor Jesus? I know one that comes to mind by the way we act and how we speak. If we use bad language, that's a way of honoring God, right? If we use good language and stay away from bad language, that's a way we can honor God. Listening to our parents, listening to our grandparents, that's a way we can honor God. There's different forms we can honor God. See, what would you do if you were invited to Jesus'? What would you do if you invited Jesus into your house? Would you ignore him? Would you want him to do something for you? Or would you serve him? This woman gave a great example of what our attitude needs to be like when we invite Jesus into our hearts. We need to worship him in humility and honor him. We can never forget who we serve. When we ask Jesus to come into our lives, we need to worship him. Remember that. We can never forget that. We need to be that good host, that person that cares about Jesus' needs, that cares for the things that please God, just like this woman did. And tonight's memory verse is out of 1 John chapter 4, verse 19, and it reads, "We love him because he loved us first." Now, let's answer question number 1. Question number 1 is a fill in the blanks. So I'm going to go ahead and read it, I'm going to go ahead and read it, and then the second time I read it, I'm going to put in the correct word in there. Now it says, then one of the asked him to eat with him. So let's read it again and put in the right answer. Then one of the Pharisees asked him to eat with him. So if you wrote down Pharisee, you did a good job. Now let's answer question number 2. And as he circled the correct word. So let's read it together, and at the end we'll circle the correct word. And behold, a woman in the city who was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus sat at the table in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster flask of fragrant oil. If you circle oil, you got the answer right. Good job. Question number 3, it's a true or false question. So we gotta read it, then we're gonna go back into our Bibles and compare it, okay? And it reads, and stood at his feet, behold him, weeping. And she began to wash his feet with her tears, and wiped them with the hair of her head. And she kissed his feet and anointed them with the fragrant oil. Now I want you to go back into your Bibles in the book of Luke, chapter 7, verse 38. Go ahead and read it one more time. And as you're reading it, I'm going to tell you the answer. If you went ahead and circled true, you got the answer right. Good job.